My name is Chris Bailey and I'm a physical therapist with Twin Cities Orthopedics. What I'm going to talk to you about today is a dynamic stretching routine, a dynamic warm-up for an athlete, somebody who's involved in a competitive sport or a casual sport. This is something that coaches can use for injury prevention, for warm-up, for team building, and for leadership. Some athletes are lacking mobility, and that's when we need to stretch. Some athletes are lacking stability, and that's when we need to gain strength and power. And this routine does both. It protects the core. Again, it's going to get the athlete in a closed chain position where it can limit their likelihood of having shoulder injuries, shoulder dislocations, ACL injuries. This is something that every team should be doing before practice and before sport. So let's go ahead and get started. Today here with Jody. Jody's going to help us demonstrate some of the specific examples of stretching and stability that we need to do with this routine. So let's go ahead and have Jody back up here a little bit. We're going to start with knee to chest. The athlete's going to pull their knee directly towards their chest. Focus on keeping the shoulders tall, the posture tall, and also what we're looking for is at any point in that movement, she can pause and hold, and she went ahead and moved into the heel up, which adds a little challenge. That's knee to chest. You'll find that some athletes are not able to maintain control through that motion. The next exercise is going to be hamstring kick out. The athlete's going to bring their knee up above hip height, extend through their leg, pushing their heel across the other side of the room, and the toe is being pulled towards the nose. Again, real key is getting the knee above hip height. It's going to help lengthen strides for runners and also lengthen through that hamstring. Nice job with the posture. Go ahead and come back. I'll cue my athletes on making sure they can maintain a nice straight line as they move through that. Again, Jody's demonstrating very good stability and also good mobility through the hamstring. The next one we're going to do, I call it Frankenstein. The athlete is going to swing their leg forward, touching their opposite hand. You can go ahead and do that a little quicker too. This one involves a little bit more momentum and speed. Good. You can go ahead and come back. But again, we don't want to see the athlete bending forward at the waist. Nice and tall, posture maintained again there. Up next, we're going to do a quad stretch. You're going to have the athlete grab their tip toe, pull it towards their low back. Good. And then transition into the next step. She's lengthening through the opposite arm, extending through the lat muscle right underneath the arm there, down the side. And also you can have the athlete think about pushing through the hip that is being stretched, pushing that hip forward and lengthening out, reducing the risk for some of those hip flexor strains that can be so nagging to try to rehabilitate. Now she's adding in the heel raise, which looks really good. Again, athletes are going to struggle a little bit more to maintain good control with that. And that's definitely an advancement. Some athletes will be able to do that right away. Some you're going to work on maintaining good form to start off. Next up, what we're going to do is a simple, straightforward lunge. The athlete's going to step forward, again, almost like they're on a balance beam in a nice straight line, maintaining level hips, level shoulders. You can have them make it more challenging by taking a longer step. Again, they can think about, as Jody turns around to hover, take a longer step and push that back hip forward, taking the pelvis moving forward out in front of them, and they'll feel a hip flexor stretch with that as well. Jody maintains good form through that. So we're going to go ahead and advance her to the next part of that, which is, I call the Atlas lunge. She's going to lunge forward, rotating opposite the back leg, almost like a wide receiver reaching up over their shoulder to catch the ball as it comes in, turning the eyes all the way towards 6 o'clock, all the way back behind them, getting that lumbar spine to warm up and the obliques to be stretched. You'll find that athletes struggle more with stability on this one as well. And then I'll have Jody go ahead and try that going backwards now. Again, you're going opposite the back leg still. This is definitely an advancement from even the lunge with Atlas going forward. Lengthening out through the fingertips. It is kind of hard to keep it going on the same side. There you go. Come on back. Try to transition right into the next step, and that'll show the challenge. So you're going to transition right off that right foot back to your right foot. There you go. By this point, your athlete already is going to get their core temperature up, and their body is getting warmed up. We're also going to do a lunge with a tuck. On this, they're going to lunge forward, and they're going to take their opposite elbow and touch the inside of their ankle. So it's a lunge, but then you're tucking down, rotating. Good. You'll feel a growing stretch with that. Especially good for a lot of our basketball players, hockey players, getting down in that deep rotation. Good. Go ahead and come back doing that same thing. Work hard to tuck down opposite elbow to inside part of the ankle. At this point, your athletes will be, if this is the first time doing it, they'll be tipping back and forth, probably losing their balance a little bit. A similar type of movement pattern, I call it the helicopter. This gives it a different name. You're going to go now straight front leg, touching the hand to the inside part of the ankle. You're lengthening through that back hand. I'm just going to show, this is something a lot of athletes won't do. You're doing great. Lengthen through this hand, rotating, look up towards that hand. That looks really good. Some of these things almost turn into yoga poses a little bit, and your athletes may not choose to go to their local yoga studio, but you can get them doing these movements just in their 10-minute warm-up before practice. The key on these is when you teach the athlete for the first time, you have to teach them to slow down and get it right. Next one's going to be a side lunge sit back. So the athlete will side step, sit back into that hip, sit back in the other hip. Good. And then come up nice and tall, move into the next step. I'll cue them to keep their knee behind their toe a little bit with that, so that makes sure that they're getting their glutes and hamstrings involved into that side lunge, side squat. A lot of our athletes are going to be pretty quad dominant and not as much hamstring and glute dominant, and that is an increased risk factor for ACL tears. So we want to make sure they're keeping their heel down, just like Jody is doing here. Good. Next exercise is going to be Spider-Man. I'm going to have Jody start with the static form of this, just in a tall plank position, and she's going to bring her same knee toward the same elbow. Good. Drop the hips down, and then return to start position. Same knee to same elbow, dropping the hips down. We'd typically start with an athlete doing that in a static position, in a tall plank like she's doing, and then as they become more comfortable and coordinated, she can turn that into a dynamic movement across the gym floor. Good. She's doing a nice job of dragging that foot as it comes up, which also gives a little bit of a growing stretch. Your athletes are going to, again, be getting a core workout while they do that. It's not just about sit-ups, it's about being able to pull that abdominal group in tight. The girdle that supports the spine. Next up is inchworm. You're going to reach towards your toes, keep your knees nice and straight, walk your hands out in front while maintaining control. Good. Pause and then walk tiptoe up towards your hands, with walking your feet up. That looks good. Walk it forward. Lifting your hips towards the ceiling, pushing down through those heels will get a stretch all the way down the back side of the body. As she finishes this last one, I'm going to have her walk her hands even a little bit further to challenge that core strength. Keep coming forward with the hands. The abdominals are pulling tight to protect that spine. You want to see a nice, perfectly flat posture. That looks really good. Good hold. We don't want to see a swayed back. Athletes should never have pain with that either. If they do, get them in to see a healthcare professional because it could be signs of injury to the spine. Next up is just a light skip. Most everyone knows what a skip is. We're going to make it a little bit more dynamic. Some of your younger athletes, though, will struggle a little bit with the coordination of this activity, and it's good to have them actually work through it at about 50% speed. Now you're going to do a high skip. You're going to push your power towards the ceiling, lengthening through that top hand. And then on the way back, continue with that high skip. And then you're going to go into a long skip. Our space is a little bit limited. Generally, we're going to be working in a 10 to 15 yard area when we're doing this warm-up. Maybe about the length of a width of a gymnasium basketball floor. Next up is going to be CARIOCA. It says the side CARIOCA. I want the athlete to focus on their hips turning left to right, swiveling the hips. So their hips should face me, face away from me, face me, face away from me. Then we're going to do a foot fire CARIOCA. Again, athletes are going to struggle a little bit more coordination-wise with this, but it's going to teach that proprioceptive feedback of getting their feet moving. Going as many foot contacts as you can as they transverse from one side to the other. And then a nice, smooth, swaying CARIOCA where they're going to take long steps and use their arms. To give some counter force on their lower body. Get a little bit of lumbar spine warm up there happening. Next up, this is really key. This is important to get good control with the landing. And by good control, what I mean is a triple flex landing. Their ankle, their knee, and their hip should all flex as they hit the ground. That's going to absorb impact forces. Sometimes athletes don't quite understand what you're saying with that, so I'll cue them to land soft and quiet. It's been proven that we can decrease ACL injury risk if we take our female athletes in particular through these type of drills beforehand. They tend to land with a knee that's in a straighter position than what it should be, and when they do that, it challenges the ACL. If the hamstring doesn't engage fast enough, we believe that that's how some of these ACL injuries are happening. We can proprioceptively train the body to land with that triple flex position, so the next time your athlete goes out, stops, changes directions, their knee lands with that triple flex position at the ankle, knee, and hip, and there'll actually be a decreased risk for injury. So we work on that. When they're ready to go into a single leg hop, we'll do that. So you're going to hop off your right foot. Again, quiet, soft landing. Quiet, soft landing. Maintaining the knee right over the second toe. We call it valgus stress on the knee when your knee buckles inward. And we don't want to see any of that valgus stress. We want to make sure everything is nice and squared and lined up. A lot of times when an athlete is first starting this, I'll be the one that cues, jump, catch it, jump, catch it, hold, jump, catch, hold. They won't be able to hold that position. Their opposite foot will be touching the ground. Oftentimes I'll challenge them by maybe having them do a few extra push-ups for each time their opposite foot hits the ground. We'll just go ahead and do the left leg. Obviously, you can work on distance as the athlete becomes stronger and more stable, but she's doing a nice job of landing with a knee that's at least 15 degrees bent. We also know that when the foot hits the ground, if your knee is straight, you can't reload, you can't fire again. And so you need to have a bent knee and a dorsiflex ankle in order to power into the next jump. That looks really good. That's what we'll get started with for our dynamic stretching routine. Once the athlete's used to it, I think we can easily get through that in probably 10 to 12 minutes. So thanks for helping me out with that, Jody.